Powered by Riverside FM.
Step into the shadows of the Vatican, where centuries of secrets and intrigue lurk. From the Knights Templar to the Illuminati, we'll explore the Vatican's role in shaping world history. Tune in for a shocking revelation that could change everything you thought you knew. Tonight on Newsworthy, 2 words and 2 question marks.
He's alive! Have you checked the children? Get out!
You have scoured the podcast world and finally found us, Newsworthy with Steve and Jerry, where we delve into all things mysterious, macabre, or out of this world, and decide if they are truly newsworthy. 2 words and 2 question marks.
What do you say, fellas?
Hello, hello, hello.
I'm so glad to be back here this week.
You are.
Me too.
I am.
Why
Are
is
you?
that?
Of course.
Good. What do you mean, why is that? It's podcast night, Jerry.
Here, I thought it's just because you got to see me again.
Oh, no. That's the least part. That's the least best part of the
So
show.
you say.
Look, I'm just saying that thanks to Brett, video is happening now.
It's happening. We're going to, listen, it's going to take a couple weeks for us to work out the kinks. If
Yeah.
you've seen the last video, the audio is kind of, but it's going to keep getting better, hopefully. And we're going to continually post stuff at least.
And improve and get better.
It'll keep getting better.
The whole point of that was the people are going to realize more and more that Brett and I look good on video and Jerry has a face for radio.
And as we also discovered this week, not only do I have a face for radio, I also have a voice for newspapers. So I'm doubly blessed.
Well, we weren't going to say anything, Jerry, but...
Well, I appreciate it. But,
I remember, so Truly has, my wife has not listened to very many of our episodes. She's not listened to any of them completely, but I did let her listen to a couple just at the beginning, and I was just trying to get her criticism because she's very honest with me. And she loved your voice. So that was like one of her main things was like, man, Jerry has a nice voice.
Butter smooth, man. I just, you say you don't, but we and everybody says it. You have a butter smooth voice.
I need to pay you guys more to keep telling these incredible lies.
More?
Yes.
I mean, you've been paying us at all? What the hell?
We're getting triple now.
That's not why you were saying these
Triple
things.
zeros instead of just a single zero. That
Speaking
works.
of giving pats on the back, there's one especially that I really need to give this week. I've did it a few times in the past, but it's been a long time.
Oh?
Mr. Mike, I'm very sorry that I have fallen behind in giving you thanks. For those that don't know, Steve's father-in-law, Mr. Mike, is a pilot with one of the major airlines. And early on in our broadcast, we started looking at the statistics and figured out that we were being downloaded and listened to in countries around the world. And for quite a while, we couldn't figure it out. We had no idea, literally. Slovakia. Who knows someone in Slovakia? We have several listeners and still do to this day. We finally figured it out.
Love
Mr.
you,
Mike.
Slovakia.
Yeah, we do. We love Slovakia and we love Mr. Mike. He apparently borrows the company jet and flies to countries around the world just so he can land, download one of our episodes, and increase the number of countries we've been to. So Mr.
Nice
Mike, we certainly appreciate it. We love you for doing it, but please don't get caught. I'm sure the fines for that have got to be pretty substantial. So please don't get caught borrowing the company jet.
Also, I want to make a correction from last week and another esteemed statement. So last week I said, listen to Knights of the D20. That's not right. I was corrected because it's Knights of D20. That way, if you look them up on Twitch, YouTube, anything, you're going to go right to their web page. They went live with their very first live game stream Monday. Was phenomenal. Even though I have vested interest in Knights of D20, Marway is my favorite. Shh, don't tell anyone. I won't tell anyone, but Marway, you got it, man. I love it. But if you were interested, like Brett and I, at all in D&D, Dungeons and Dragons, they are just launching a brand new campaign on Twitch, on YouTube. They're live every Monday. Check those guys out. They're phenomenal. They're great. I think it's going to be a great experience. If you've never played D&D and you're interested, check it out. They're at that beginning, so you can learn as they go. If you're an old school D&Der like us, it's just fun to watch somebody start from the beginning and do something great. So Knights of D20, check them out. Twitch, YouTube, all the big things. All the things.
Yeah.
All the things.
All the things, yeah. I was just looking, watching a couple of their videos. They're very, you can tell they're very professional. They've already got like shorts and everything, so they're ahead of the game, and they're doing a really good job.
One of the players, that's what they do. Yeah. So, they get it.
Yeah.
I wish I could pay them. I wish I made them enough money to pay somebody.
Maybe
also,
one day.
what?
I said maybe one day.
Oh, I have no doubt. And I have no doubt. So
once we get that HelloFresh deal.
Right? That's all we're waiting on. Jerry, so for years and years and years, we've been doing this for a couple of years now, and Jerry's like, well, if we get paid, we know we're doing it good. Well, that happened. Check. We got a great sponsor. Jerry's like, well, I'm not happy. And I'm like, why aren't you happy, Jerry? And he's like, well, we're on like the 7th page on Google. I'm like, what did you Google? And he said, newsworthy. 2 words, 2 question marks. And he's right.
Which is our name.
7th page. I was like, but hang on a second. Did you download or search for newsworthy with Steve and Jerry? Nope. And we did. And guess what? We're the top 5 on Google. So see there, Jerry?
There you go.
We had to find the correct hack to search.
It's not a hack. It's our name.
Our name is Newsworthy. Literally.
What's that say, Brett? What does that say right there behind you?
Newsworthy, Steve and Jerry.
Thank you.
Let me Google this and see what
The email
Spotify
says it. The
page says it.
the YouTube
Spotify
channel says it.
says you're wrong. Spotify says Newsworthy. But that's, yeah. And you're right. As we continue to get more and more subscribers and more downloads, thanks to Brett, we're getting more all the time with YouTube, and those things help. That's what drives us up in the rankings. To digress for a second, the problems that I'm referring to is because we chose a name that was already in use by a lady by the name of Erica Mandy, very nice lady. She is a news broadcaster in Florida, I think, and she does a daily, sometimes more than once daily, news brief snippet, a podcast. So yeah, she's the first thing that's going to come up. It makes sense. She's been doing it for years.
Right.
But so if you search for Newsworthy, I get why she's there. But when you search for Newsworthy, 2 words with 2 question marks, which is our exact name, yeah, now that's my new bar that I'm shooting for, is when we get to the point that when you search our name, yeah. So
Brett, it's like you say. It's always going to be something with Jerry. I'm very happy and honored and blessed that you, right there in your car, in your office, with your headphones, are listening to us. We appreciate you.
I would do this if nobody was listening.
Well, we said that at the beginning, and then we blinked, and we're at over 10,000 downloads. So it's like crazy. So one more shout out if you don't care. And for those of you that don't understand, the way we do this podcast, we are set up in the studio. The studio's in my home. That's why you hear my dogs occasionally. But every Wednesday we get together, and have dinner and then talk about the episode and then come do the episode. Tried a new place tonight. I just want to give them a shout out. If you're in Central Kentucky, you want good coffee or good food, check out the Berg Coffee Shop in Lawrenceburg. It's right across the street from the Dairy Queen. They did not pay for this advertisement, but they were we each had something different today. I had a hot brown sandwich on a croissant. Brett had a sweet pulled pork barbecue, and Jerry had a club. I give my sandwich a 9 out of 10. I mean, it was that good.
Yeah, no, mine was awesome.
When I took a bite of it, it was small. But it's a coffee shop. It's not, a fine dining establishment. Took a bite, explosion of flavor. Brett, how was yours?
Yeah, mine was good. It was on like a croissant type roll. Again, it was pulled pork with some looked like cheddar cheese on it. It was awesome. It was really good.
Brett and normally I'm the one that gets it clubbed, but Jerry got clubbed this week. Jerry, how was the club?
It was excellent.
Good.
If you remember, I was talking about my sandwich and also the salad that you were also eating. Extremely fresh ingredients,
Absolutely.
not the type of ingredients that I'm used to. It tasted like someone had 5 minutes before we placed after we placed the order, someone walked out into their garden and got the vegetables and brought in. It literally tasted that fresh.
And we got 3 sandwiches and a chef salad for all under $30. So check them out, the Bird Coffee Shop in Lawrenceburg, Kentucky. Just want to give them, when we find good places like that and good people, we like to shout out and give them up.
You want them to still be there next week, next month, next
Absolutely.
year? You have to do those things.
Absolutely.
Let your friends know when you like something.
Absolutely. And you, our listeners, are considered our friends. Speaking of friends, we like to give things away for our friends. So, we have a few giveaways getting ready to happen. The first one starting right now. Jerry, what's our text line?
The text line area code 540-709-1318.
If you text your email and you're the first person to text your email to that number, what number one more time?
540-709-1318.
You are going to win a artist rendition of a plaster cast of Bigfoot's foot. Pretty awesome stuff. It's an 8x10. It'll hang on a wall. You can use it as a dartboard. Whatever you want to do, it's yours. If you text that number one more time, Jerry.
Area code 540-709-1318.
So the first person to do that gets a painting of a Bigfoot foot. Second giveaway, and this is more substantial. This is big. Because we are dipping our toes into YouTube, we're going to set this up a little differently. Easton Hawk from Easton Hawk Art at Etsy.com has given us 2 amazing prints. Beautiful. One is of the first one we're going to give away this week is of the Loveland Frog. This is an amazing print. If you like cryptids, you want this hanging in your house. It's
if you
frameable.
want to see what it looks like, go to his Etsy site and you can see it.
Absolutely. It's frameable. It's gorgeous. Check it out. It kind of looks like that. That's the Mothman that he did up there in the top. Just want to point that out.
Yeah, I'll put a picture of it too once in
Thank
the
you.
video if you're watching on YouTube.
Now, how we want to do this is a little different. Basically, we want you, and I'll let Brett explain this we want to drive YouTube here. So, Brett, tell them how to win this one.
Yeah, so basically just you can put in a comment, say how much you like us, how much you hate us, feedback, hey, I love the episode, anything. We're going to pick someone from the comments. We'll reach out to you, we'll reply to your comment, say, hey, give us your information. And we'll go from there. If you don't hear from anybody, from that person in 7 days, we'll pick another person.
Yeah.
It's going to go to somebody.
But
But
and you don't want to miss this. And this is specifically for this episode. And this week we're covering what the Catholic Church is hiding in their vaults.
Or maybe.
Maybe hiding in their vaults. On this specific episode on YouTube, comment on it. We'll pick from whoever chooses next week on the show. We'll make sure that you get it. And next week we'll do the same. So that's how you win. Pretty easy peasy. All you have to do is log into your YouTube, comment, hey, on our video that you saw it.
And while you're commenting, go ahead and subscribe.
We would
Absolutely.
Just an extra click to subscribe, and that'd be
Greatly
awesome.
appreciate
Maybe like the video if you like it.
If you love it, share it.
If you don't like it, still like the video. Actually,
Absolutely.
what's funny is the algorithms, the way they work, likes and dislikes they work the same. So if you have 10,000 dislikes or 10,000 likes, it's still going to be passed around the same.
That's awesome.
Yep.
So
That's awesome. So
I guess if you don't like it, dislike it. But I hope you don't.
Yeah, and if
We hope you don't,
Hey,
but do be honest.
yeah, please be honest.
Oh yeah.
Hey,
Give us
that's-
feedback.
That's how we grow.
And like I said, we're just working out the kinks of this YouTube. I mean, last week was our first video. I'd made like a test video before then, so we're gonna have some kinks, I'm sure, in the next couple weeks. If you see something, say something. But
Jerry, I just want you to know, I don't like you at all. I don't like you.
I didn't realize you could do that in the middle of the show. So.
What possibly are you referring to?
Nothing.
Steve? For those that don't know, and you also might want to add this in some of your comments, Steve absolutely loves the word enigmatic.
And if you're watching this video on YouTube, you'll know what we're talking about. Because if you look under Steve's name,
it used
something
to
might
be
have changed.
correctly labeled.
Listen,
That's a compliment. Why would you not like that?
that's not a compliment.
That's a
That's a
compliment.
stupid word.
Mr. Enigmatic is what his label was. And
I can't even say that word. That's fucking stupid. So what'd you guys do this week? I'm going to tell you. I went to the aquarium this week.
oh yeah,
Really?
Yeah, I had to leave there pretty fast, though.
Why is that?
Something fishy about that
No.
place.
And you are not into fish.
you had all week to come up with that.
That was great. Admit it. You guys don't even have to tell your dad jokes.
No.
That might have been
was
the worst
amazing.
one you've done.
Very possibly.
No.
Oh my goodness.
No.
I would actually. I did see something on the news. I'm kind of getting into newsworthy's roots a little bit. So talking about news stories. Did you hear about the guy who got hit in the head with a soda can?
No.
Yeah, man. Luckily it was a soft drink.
Oh. Yeah.
So
I'm
you
trying to
kids.
decide which was weaker. I've got a bit of bad news. It seems like I have a lot of that to pass on. But this one, I'm absolutely tired of people.
Stop looking in the mirror. That'll fix that.
No, I've stopped looking at that little fan you gave me a picture of your head. It's like, this dude.
I can't wait for
several years
Christmas.
ago-
I'm gonna get the Haktua girl. I'm gonna
Oh, please do.
the,
Who would say no to that?
You're so obsessed.
No.
Hey, if you're out there, Haktua girl, I don't even know her real name.
Comment on our YouTube video.
Jerry
yeah,
does.
hey, we'd love to have you on the show.
Why?
Listen,
Wholesome girl with all American values.
I'm sure
Cute,
she has
young.
some opinions on Sasquatch and aliens.
She's funny. I mean, that's it. The
I
girl's
think it
funny
would
as
just
junk.
be good for, yeah.
But back to my bad news. I am really upset that I keep hearing people that keep wondering and asking if I even exercise. For those doubters, I do CrossFit. You know, that's the one where
CrossFit.
you cross your fingers and hope your clothes fit. I've been doing that for years. I don't know what.
I think you won. I think you won the jokes. You got the best one. I think
Really?
well, it was definitely better than yours. I think it was probably better than mine.
Actually, I know I had the best one, but we have to ask each other for approval, and mine didn't get approved.
Oh man.
So yeah. But just in case you
a lot of
forgot.
those that weren't approved.
I just sent it to
were-
your chat. So tell me why you didn't.
Very,
you
very
guys
funny.
didn't approve that one.
Oh, does the chat show up on the video? I don't know.
Click on the chat button over there.
I don't want to know, Jerry. Really?
I just Brett thought it was funny.
Listen, once we get big enough to have a Patreon, we're gonna have this as a segment that we just go over bad jokes.
Listen, I think, in October, we're going to have to, I'm going on vacation, and I'll be out of the country. And I think that would be a great week to do a dad joke week. The whole contest
No.
that's so famous. Jerry thinks he's going to win this because he
No,
thinks
I
he's
think
so
it would
funny.
get. No, not at all. I was from the very beginning. Since you suggested it, I don't like the idea. I think
Is this
one week-
where you have to try not to laugh?
Yes.
And so
and just over and over and over, and I think it would get very boring very quickly. I just
well, if we're keeping it family
PG
friendly,
rated.
it would get very boring real quick.
exactly. It really would. So I just don't like the idea. I don't think it would go over and people would like it. 1 a week is about enough, and we proved tonight we can't come up with one and a half decent joke, much less
I know.
3.
I got the only good one here tonight. So good
You want to
gravy.
turn that, what we just did, into a 30-minute episode?
True
No.
fact.
No,
Okay.
thanks.
Good deal. Okay. So let's get into the topic at hand. Now, for a millennium, Brett, how old is the Catholic Church? How long has it been here?
2024 years.
What year is it?
Yeah, 2024 years. So
Basically, is what they claim.
Yeah.
it is
So-
the truth. So okay,
So
yeah, go,
Brett is Catholic.
I am Catholic,
Yes,
and I'm a practicing Catholic. I'm not like some people who say they're Catholic, and I'm
Yeah,
not.
you're not
practicing.
Joe Biden.
Joe Biden.
I didn't want to say that, but we're
I
not
don't care to
political.
say
But
it.
whatever. Yeah,
It's
yeah.
the
I am
truth.
Catholic, so I believe the Catholic Church. So I did try and go in this unbiased. I'm sure I have some bias, and
Absolutely,
hopefully
and that's
Steve
okay.
Steve and Jerry will
It's okay.
take me down a peg, and that's fine. Yeah, but anyways, yeah, just yeah. I am Catholic, so.
So for 2,024 years, the Catholic Church has been looking for, finding, and hoarding away, according to most people, different and all religious relics. And that's what we're going to talk about tonight a little bit. It is, when you've been around that long, it is very easy to start the rumor mill about what you may have found or what you did find, or and we will never know. So this, first of all, this episode is a lot of speculation.
And we'll try to be honest and upfront with what do we know and what do we
Right, absolutely.
Right.
What's been admitted to by the church that they have, what hasn't, what's been on display, what hasn't, what do conspiracy theorists think that they found, and what isn't. There's a lot of things that Jerry said, oh, I ain't talking about that. I'd be happy to bring that crap up because that's what we do. And we can just shoot it down if it makes no sense.
Right,
I literally, and I'll just throw this out there. I read this today because Jerry often wonders, where in the heck do you get some of this information? What sites are you looking
What
at?
memes?
Listen, there is a site that claims the Catholic Church actually has a body that they believe to be Jesus. Okay. I don't believe that because I am a Christian and I believe
Right.
For all of you
what
listeners, that statement encapsulates where Steve gets about 70-80% of his information. Just so you know.
Listen, it's okay. It's okay.
When I feel like I don't want to get into it too much, but I feel like if something that was there and they knew about it, it would get out.
Yeah, right.
It would get leaked somewhere.
First of all, why would you hide that?
Well, at that point,
Exactly.
so you
Well,
got
you have to, because then it disclaims, it shoots down everything about the religion.
these priests, bishops, cardinals, they're
How does
selling.
it shoot down everything about the
If you have a
church?
dead body
Right,
of
if you-
Christ couldn't have risen.
Right,
That's why.
and then that would basically negate like
all of Christianity.
Well, and you got to think
No.
too. These priests, bishops, cardinals, the Pope, they've taken a vow of celibacy to dedicate their lives to this religion.
Right.
If
They
you get
wouldn't do that.
if you get significant proof that this religion is a bunch of
Hokey BS.
yeah,
But I don't think it does that. What was it, 30 days later when Jesus ascended into heaven? What happened to his physical body?
It doesn't say.
it went into heaven.
Exactly.
No, his body went into heaven.
Well, it says he ascended. His soul or his spirit?
Well,
His physical body?
Well, if he was eating food, like his body was there, like when Thomas touched his hands and touched his feet, he was physically there. That was his body, and this is and then his body was he ascended into heaven.
Does the Roman Catholic Church believe that when we go to heaven, that our physical bodies are going?
No,
That's what I thought. Because
it's our souls.
right.
Yeah.
The Bible at one point even says, in that day we shall be neither male nor female, which strongly suggests that it's not our body in any shape of our current form, right? So,
And I don't think we could even fathom what
So,
happens after
Brett,
death.
take us into the history of the church and what they were finding and how that happened.
Yeah, so So again, the church started, over 2,000 years ago, according to
Long
Catholics.
time.
According to Catholics, and according to Siri, if you ever ask.
And according to my friend Patricia, who was here during that whole time and actually helped do the paperwork for the.
Well, didn't Jerry? You knew Jesus, right?
Yeah, I was waiting for you guys to throw me in there with Patricia.
Okay, so the Vatican archives were originally called the my Latin's a little rusty, and by rusty I mean I've never learned Latin in my life. Archivum Secretum Vaticanum. That's the translation in Latin. That's what the original name. So if you look at that word secretum, a lot of people look at that and they say, okay, that means secret. Well, it actually translates to private or like personal. So basically, what this means is it basically translates to the personal archives of the Pope. So this is an archive that was built to aid whoever was the seat of the papacy at that point. In 2019, Pope Francis changed the name to the Vatican Apostolic Archives. This was just an attempt to distance the archives from the reputation of being secret, which I think was a good move. Because in 1881, Pope Leo the 13th opened the doors of the archives to scholars, and now it's become one of the most famous research centers in the world. The archives were found initially by Pope Paul V. Its contents span about 12 centuries. The first documents that we know of were in the 8th century, spans all the way to the 20th century. And
Think about that. Sorry to interrupt 1 second, but we have a document from the 8th century.
and I'm going to talk about a couple of documents that we found, and it's just like, man, we have that physical, like, to just think about how long ago that was. 100 years ago, heck, 50 years ago, the internet didn't exist. And now, like, we have smartphones, and 100 years ago, I don't know, Jerry, did they have plumbing in houses? Like,
In a few of the more well-to-do homes, yes.
I don't even know if they had running water.
In the castles, they had the towers where you went out, you'd use the restroom, and there was a guy at the bottom of the castle that would shovel it out and throw it in the moat.
Anyways, we've come a long way in 100 years. Just thinking about 1,200 years ago.
Have you heard the thing that says we are closer? Let's see. Cleopatra is closer to the iPhone than she was to the creation of the pyramids.
Yeah, that's crazy.
It's weird. So anyway, go ahead.
But very true.
Yeah.
I think, if you know St. Thomas Aquinas, he's closer to us than he was to St. Augustine, which was in the 300s. Anyways. But yeah. So
nobody knows that, Brett.
Anyways.
Except for old people like me.
So yeah. Again, the
you
contents.
were there, so.
The contents span 12 centuries. It's stored on over 85 kilometers of shelving. For those Americans out there that don't know what a kilometer is, it's
That'd
about
be me.
53 miles.
We are Americans here,
miles.
Brett. We are not British.
Do you hear what he said?
53
miles
Well,
of shelving.
Yeah, in Italy they use kilometers like the rest of the world. So.
Well, we are not the rest of the world. We're America. America.
So this is stored in what's called the bunker, which is a 2-story underground vault below the
Part of it. No.
the Cortile delle Pigme. Yeah, the Italian words of the Vatican museums. So again, this is a huge area. Honestly, it's an unfathomable amount of information that is stored in these archives. But we're going to kind of get into it, but just off the bat, to get through all of this information, all of the contents of this archive, I mean, this started in 1881, and we've still not gotten close to making a dent in this archive. So,
As far as labeling and coming up with
right, well, yeah,
exactly
we don't really
what
have it. We don't even, we don't know what all the archives contain. Yeah, we found some interesting stuff, but I think Jerry's going to talk about some of the things that we're still wondering are we going to find this in the archives?
Who has access?
Yeah, so that's what I was going to get into. So I'm sorry, Steve. you don't have access. You don't meet the criteria. So Pope Leo the 13th, he did open the doors for the archives, but it was to scholars only. So each day, a maximum of 60 researchers are admitted to the study rooms. And I've got all this website. So there's actually a website. If you could just Google Vatican archives, and it'll pop up this website. The website's called Archivio Apostolico Vaticano.va. And anyways, you can look on there, and it's got the application to look at the archives, and it goes through the requirements that a person needs to be able to research. Anyway, so a maximum of 60 researchers are admitted to the study rooms. To gain access, researchers must send in an application that I talked about to the prefect of the Vatican Apostolic Archives, stating how long they would like to access the Vatican Apostolic Archives. So the maximum length of time that someone can research down there is 3 continuative months. You can request to go back into the archives once you've already finished that 3 months, but you have to wait to be accepted.
Probably go to the end of the list, I would assume.
So do you have to, when you apply, is there something you have to apply that you're actually looking for?
Yes.
Or
Yeah,
is it
so
just,
you
I want to go look.
No,
yeah, you can't do
that's
that.
not allowed.
And if you think about it, it's not really going to be beneficial to just go and like peruse, because
there is no historical institution in the world that allows that, because we just said some of these documents go back to the 8th century.
right, and you're handling.
If
I
it's
wouldn't.
200 years old.
I wouldn't
it's still
trust myself
fragile.
to handle
No.
something from 800
that's-
years ago, 1200 years ago,
Absolutely.
and that's kind of what. So you have to be.
Jerry has to go to the bathroom. He's used to it.
So you have. So you have to be. You have to be a part of an accredited research institute or a qualified person in the field of historical research. Jerry just finished a bottle of wine, or almost finished a bottle of wine. So.
Steve?
Or sorry, Steve.
Yeah,
I'm
that's the bottom line
I'm
talking
5 beers
from Mr.
deep as
Steve.
well, so we're starting this episode alone. Anyways, all right, back to the topic. So as a researcher, you have to be part of a accredited research institute. So that's like, or you could be a qualified person in the field of historical research. You have to have some sort of degree that gives you accreditation to be. They're not just going to let any Joe Schmo into this
I know.
into the archives. So we have actually found some really cool stuff in the archives thus far. One of those is a letter from Henry VIII.
Ooh.
Yeah, to the Pope requesting an annulment from his wife Catherine of Aragon, so he can marry Anne Boleyn.
Do you want to know why? Do you remember why?
I do,
Do you remember why?
I do not.
because
he couldn't.
He didn't qualify for a divorce according to the Catholic
well,
Church.
but she wouldn't give him sons.
She wouldn't give him a son.
That's
It wasn't like she was, let me just...
well,
no.
and
They
what
didn't know back then.
Exactly.
as
The
a
point
She was
was
refusing.
right.
as a girl dad, I'm sorry, guys. If you have all girls, it's your fault.
I will tell you what. Listen, and I'm just gonna be honest here. My dad doesn't listen to the podcast. He doesn't even know what a podcast is. But I will tell you off air why my dad says that is, and you should be thankful.
Okay.
Because I had after my daughter, I had nothing but boys.
Yeah.
So
Okay, we'll see. We'll see what you say. Because I'm open to all the.
well, once
I've
you
tried
hear
everything
it,
this
you'll carry it as a badge of honor. I promise you.
Okay.
But back to this.
But so anyway,
This
so
was pretty important.
this
time.
is very, very significant. The letter was actually signed by 85 clergy members, including the Archbishop of Canterbury, and the Pope ended up denying their request. This started the Anglican Church. So if you're Anglican, this is how your church began. I don't want to be against Anglicans. I think that
No, it's
Anglicans
literally.
have a lot to, but that's
Our
literally
history would say that.
yeah. Henry VIII.
Couldn't get permission for a
He-
divorce,
he
so
couldn't
he's like,
divorce
I'll
it.
start my own religion.
So he started his own church. And if you look up St. Thomas More, which we have a university in Kentucky named after him, he was a bishop who refused to approve King Henry VIII's divorce, and he actually ended up getting killed for that. So, anyways, that's a good story to look up. He was a great man. Another thing that we found, this one was really cool. I thought that was really interesting. A handwritten transcript of Galileo's trial for heresy. Now,
Wow.
at the Catholic Church, that's like one of the biggest things that you guys killed Galileo
They didn't
because
kill him. He lost the trial and was put in house arrest until he died 28 years later. He
Okay.
stayed in house arrest, but they did not execute him. He did lose the trial.
Okay.
But for a second, why was he on trial? For heresy, but what was it he believed specifically?
he believed that the sun was at the center of the
The
universe, right?
heliocentric
Yeah.
model, which is
now accepted
by
across
everyone
board.
except the flat
and,
earthers.
And this just goes to say, a lot of people, and again, this is just me just being
No,
and it just
I don't
being
think so. That was all religions were that way back then.
Right,
And
and-
still are to a degree.
and still are to a degree. Yeah,
If you're
science.
saying something we don't agree with, where the religious group will be the first to condemn it.
Right.
And later, many cases like this one, it's been proven that Galileo was right.
Yeah.
But he was literally put on trial for heresy. And in that day and time, he was extremely well thought of. Otherwise, he would have been killed. That
Right.
was the normal punishment. But he was given house arrest and stayed for 20-something years until he passed away.
Yeah. So, anyways, that's a really interesting thing that they found. Another thing that I thought was really cool was letters from Michelangelo complaining that he had been paid for his work on the Sistine Chapel. I mean, the Sistine Chapel is one of the most well-known artistic works in the history of humanity. And it's just, I think Michelangelo spent 10 years of his life just on his back, like up on the roof, painting the Sistine Chapel, and to see that he hadn't been paid appropriately or on time is just it's just a cool piece of history that has been reserved in these archives. Another thing was the minutes of the trials against the Knights Templar, which document the Roman Catholic military orders behavior during the Crusades. Again, this is another thing that's just an incredible piece of history. This is the tip of the iceberg. Really, there's millions and millions of pieces of artifacts in these archives. We've been looking through them since 1881, and we still haven't gotten through everything. Not even close to getting through everything. So this is going to be something that's continually brought to light. Updated. We're going to continue to find more things that are, and things that could, paint the Catholic Church in a bad light. Which, I mean, just like the Galileo trial. I mean, that's not something that the Catholic Church is looked on favorably for. But again, that's just
Our scientific knowledge was a whole lot different in those
right. And they've maintained this history, which I think is really cool. And again, I saw a lot of people kind of complaining that they don't just open this to everybody, and it's really hard to get in, and you have to ask for specific pieces of
you have to tell them what you want to see before you
right.
come.
You have to go in like asking, and they kind of see that as, well, the church is just hiding stuff and they're not being as open with the public. I think that just them opening to the public in general, like, hey, you can come research whatever you want. You just have to tell us what you want to research. I think that's awesome. And
Absolutely.
I think it's
So, and I'm speaking from a completely uneducated point of view here, okay, from the Catholic Church. How close do you think, and this is speculation, none of us have ever been there. How close do you think it is actually to, if I'm envisioning it, if I'm looking at it in my mind? Right. Jerry's laughing at me. That's okay.
I'm not laughing at you. I'm laughing at the bottle of wine.
Yeah, well, that too. I'm just gonna say, man, that's a
You
really.
didn't tell them what you're drinking.
Well, it's because it's a retread. I've had barefoot before. It's Fruscato. It's the blueberry. It's delicious. But how close do you think it is to the Da Vinci Code when they go into when they go in and everything is air temperature and humidity controlled? You don't think so?
Most researchers say that they still find it extremely hard to believe that so very little is in those conditions. It should
Yeah.
be, and they know it, and they're working on it. again, when you talk about the volume of material they have,
53 miles, right?
Yeah, I mean,
they're nowhere close to. It's not even 5% of it that's in these hermetically temperature controlled vaults.
I mean, we have places where you go to have a cigar, and the whole building is
That's one of the
hermetically
biggest
controlled.
constructive
So tell us
criticisms that they get.
what do we
Well, I don't
know
know.
that's-
Let him finish. I don't know that Brett's done.
no, yeah, I'm pretty much done. I'd have a couple. Do you guys think that they should grant more access?
No, there's no. They are as open, as far as I know, as any historical research facility in the world that's anywhere near comparable. And first of all, there is no one else that's comparable. No one else has anywhere near the amount of stuff going back as far as they do. But the point is, the reasons they have so many restrictions is trying to make sure that it's going to be around for the next several generations. You can't let. Can you imagine these documents that we're talking about that are hundreds or thousands of years old, and you're letting families come in with their kids? Oh, let me see what's in this book. You just, the book just crumbled. You can't allow that. And there's no research institution in the world that allows that. For any place that's dealing with artifacts or documents near this old, this is common procedure. This is the way it works. Now, censor the church. Many people think, well, I can get them to change their mind if I just give them some bad publicity. They, along with every other historical research institution in the world, is like, no, we're going to try to preserve what we've got. The only way we can do that is to limit access and tightly control how you see it.
You're not even allowed to see the actual, Constitution for that same reason.
Yeah, we're not going to let people walk through and pick it up and hold it and read it.
And the Constitution is since 1776.
Thank you.
Right.
Not
Couple
even
hundred
close
years
to
old.
being as old as.
A couple of 100 years old at this point. A little over.
It's not near as old as the
Well,
newer stuff in the Vatican.
Yeah.
What else did you have?
That was pretty much it. I did think it was really. So I didn't really know much about this before I started researching. I mean, I heard some of the, theories like, oh, the Ark of the Covenant's down there, the Holy Grail's down there.
Oh, I don't believe the Ark of the Covenant is down there yet. Mm-mm.
So, and we can get into that, but I thought it was cool that you could just go to a website and just apply to go down there.
But there is some pretty strict restrictions.
Oh yeah, I mean, I would never get them.
Here's the thing, though. You can go to a website and just apply to run for president of the United States. Did you know that?
First,
I'm sure you can.
one of the things you didn't mention that is absolutely required, or your application will be immediately thrown away. You have to have someone to co-sign basically for you that is an established, accepted researcher in academia.
Yeah.
And if you can't get that, it'll just be automatically
Right, you
put
have
in
to
Title
have
13.
some sort of accreditation from.
So what's up, Jerry? What's down there? What do you think?
Brett had the tough part, which he did an excellent job of, but he got to go through this stuff that we know about compared to some of the stuff I'm going to talk about. That some of the crazy conspiracy theorists, Steve, excuse me, sorry. But some of the crazier conspiracy theory people talk about, that was kind of boring stuff. No offense, Brett, you did an excellent job. But, as Steve has alluded to, there are conspiracy theories that a lot of things are hidden by the Vatican.
Yep.
The third secret of Fatima, we'll start with that one. Some believe that the third secret of Fatima, which was a prophecy received by 3 Portuguese children in 1917, is hidden in the Vatican archives.
Did you get into that story at all?
A little bit.
Freaking phenomenal.
It is.
It's
Oh,
an
absolutely.
amazing story.
And it was witnessed by thousands of people.
30,000 to 100,000 people.
Yeah.
They all saw the same thing. The local paper, which was a secular paper, wasn't like a religious paper. They reported on the incident as actually of having it happen.
As it happened.
If you don't know what happened, so basically, just real quick, it rained. So these 3 kids, they had been saying that they had been meeting Mary, and they told the village of Fatima that they basically said that, hey, she said that at this location she's going to do something that's going to show you all that, hey, we're telling the truth, because everybody was thinking they were crazy. Again, there was these 3 little kids, and when everybody showed up, it was raining. Everybody had been rained on. They were wet, and they saw the sun dance in the sky, and it just started moving all over the place. And then once it was done, everybody had just miraculously been dried off. And again, this was witnessed by 30 to 100,000 people. I mean, just It's one of the biggest Marian apparitions that's ever happened.
Very true. Well put.
So what was the third one? Sorry.
Well, the Vatican did come out, I forget what year. Was it 2010? I think. I'm not for sure. Anyway, the first two were well known ahead of time. The third prophecy wasn't revealed for many years. Obviously, when that happens, conspiracy theorists begin to do what they do. One of the theories of many was that the hold on one second. Let me find my place. Here we go. Many people thought it and was rumored that the third prophecy was of a nuclear holocaust or a natural disaster. In 2000, the Vatican did release the contents of the third secret, but again, that didn't stop the conspiracy theorists. The rumors and conspiracies still go on, and there's still some people to this day saying that the Vatican is hiding the true third secret of Fatima.
Which was, what did they say it was?
Nuclear holocaust is what several people are saying. And they're saying that for that reason, since it's such bad news, that the Vatican has refused to give us the truth.
Why would the Vatican give you such bad news and that be not right? Does that make sense?
Most of these conspiracy theories
all you have to do is look around the world right now. We're, according to the atomic clock, we're like 12 seconds from midnight.
Yeah.
And the Biden administration, right, long, however you view the Biden administration, this is not a political show, has redirected our nuclear stance to be more prepared for a triangular attack between North Korea, China, and Russia. That's a very real possibility that we live in now. That back in the 60s, 70s, 80s, the 30s, from World War II up, in the Cold War was a very real threat. Now, we're several years removed from that, so we don't understand even what... Most people see the pictures of a nuclear blast, they're like, oh, that's cute, whatever. They don't understand the horror that is a nuclear blast. Just one. Much less Russia, which has more nuclear weapons than anybody on the face of the planet in the United States, with China coming in third, India, North Korea, all of these countries, one launches, they all launch, and we all understand what nuclear holocaust is really fast.
I saw a forecast.
It's insane.
I saw a forecast today that said that most military experts believe that China will be equal to or have surpassed U.S. and Russia levels within a decade. So
I believe that 100%.
it's very possible.
It's easy to do with slave labor.
It's easy to do, and it's scary. Absolutely.
You know, when you have your scientists who are working under pain of death and their families are working under pain of death, and you have all the slave labor in the world that you want, and, you know, I make no bones about it. This is not a political show. But if you think for a minute that China doesn't use slave labor, you need to really open your eyes. There's a reason they're still a communist nation. And
well, there's a reason that all of American businesses go over there.
Right.
I mean,
because
they do it to save money. They're not
in America, the average, even if you just went minimum wage, the minimum wage is $7.25 an hour in North America. In China, it's not even 3 cents an hour. Not even 3 cents a day, probably.
Do they have one?
No, I don't even think they do.
I don't think so. I could be wrong.
So, when we talk about it, to bring it back into what we're talking about today, there's a very good possibility that a country that has a far less moral equivalent than, say, most of Western society, with that type of nuclear armament, when they decide to do something, they're going to do it, and they're going to do it however they choose, because they don't view life the same way we do. And that's really hard for people in Western economies and Western civilizations to understand. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but when you talk about nuclear holocaust, that's a scary deal. That's a no-win deal for anybody.
No, I agree. Now,
Sorry.
let's get back to the Vatican.
Please do. Yes.
One of the next crazy conspiracy theories are that they have and are hiding evidence of extraterrestrial life. Rumors suggest that the Vatican holds proof of the existence of extraterrestrial life. Steve is firmly on board. He probably wrote this conspiracy theory. That's not even the craziest. I'll get to that.
Okay,
Which
please
you
do.
probably wrote that one too.
Rude.
Again, rumors suggest that the Vatican holds proof in the form of extraterrestrial skulls. Some sources say that the archives contains proof that the Pope is conspiring with extraterrestrial beings to implant everyone on Earth with computer chips. I'm sure many people are familiar. Just a few, 3-4 years ago,
Nearly.
when the COVID vaccines come out, that was one of the big conspiracy theories. It is an implant that the government is implanting into you. So, yeah, some of the same people, I'm sure.
Jerry got it, so he's got the mark of the beast.
You did? None of your family got it?
I'm not going to talk about that.
Okay. Well, you just said I did, so you don't want to speak up for your own family.
No, we did
Okay,
not get
that's
it.
fine. That's
We did not get it.
Now, if you think that that's crazy, that's not the worst. A few of the craziest conspiracy theorists concerning extraterrestrial life claim that there are several live aliens tucked away inside of the Vatican secret archives that are being fed and kept alive to this day.
They're getting Wright Patterson confused with the Vatican.
Apparently. A time machine.
Oh,
It is believed. I'm sorry.
I was just going to say, if you hadn't covered this one, I was going to.
Okay.
This is good stuff.
Believed
I like
to have
this.
been
I heard
built
this
by
one.
an Italian
Really?
scientist and priest.
Well, I heard it when I was researching.
Oh, gotcha.
I don't
believe-
believe it.
You do or don't? Thanks.
All right.
Okay, good. Believed to have been built by an Italian scientist and priest, Father Pellegrino Ernetti, the chronovisor is a device that apparently allows people to view the future and the past. Although there is zero proof that such a device ever existed in the first place, some people believe that it is hidden somewhere in the archives. Some of these conspiracy theories, many times I say there's an element of truth to them, and you can see kind of where they got started. We talked about it last week with the Wright Pat Air Force Base. You can kind of see where they might have gotten started with some of the research into UFOs and the research they were doing into the leading technology for airplanes. Some of these, I have no clue. I don't know what kind of drugs you'd have to be on to think this makes sense.
Well, the time machine thing is interesting just because they have attached it to an actual person. So I always say, like, every conspiracy theory has some sort of element, like you just said, some sort of element of truth. So it makes you wonder, like, how that started. Because, I mean, they wouldn't just throw that name out of, thin air. I don't think.
And also, if you look into the chronovisor, that is in and of itself a separate entity that is normally not thought of in relation to the Vatican at all.
Yeah.
But somewhere along the line, some people was like, hey, let's just say it's hidden over here by these guys.
Well, no, it's not that it was just hidden over here by these guys. It was the thought and the premise behind it was that they saw the crucifixion of Christ.
Right.
And because of that, the Catholic Church grabbed it and brought it into the church to hold it, to
Who
protect it.
saw the crucifixion of Christ? The Catholic Church?
That's
No.
what, no, they were saying that, like, that
The chronovisor,
Yeah.
the person that created it.
they were saying that they watched the crucifixion of Christ
Right.
on it. And so, so what Steve was saying was that the Catholic Church saw that and they
Because it
But
had
why not
some...
make it public to prove to people that he did live, that he was crucified, that he did arise and ascend to heaven?
It's the same reason, and not to go too deep into religion on our show, but it's the same reason that, and I'm not Catholic, I don't care, but it's,
Well, the people started this rumor weren't Catholic
it would
either.
be the same premise of if God is all powerful, which I believe that he is,
Right.
he could show you that he is, each and every person on the planet,
Sure.
but that eliminates the faith component.
Sure.
That's why.
this is where we disagree.
But that doesn't answer why these people, these non-Catholics, that won't answer why they would think that. But I'm saying, think about if it's true. Why would the Catholic Church do that? Why would they hide evidence that can prove his existence?
It eliminates the faith component.
Well, the same people who saw Jesus perform miracles were also the people who said to crucify him. So that's all I'm going to say with that. Because
True fact.
So they saw Jesus perform miracles according to the Bible, and they still they
So
still
what-
rejected him.
What should be incontrovertible proof
Right.
isn't necessarily
That's like,
always
yeah,
incontrovertible.
right. So,
Good
Well,
point.
I mean, hundreds of thousands of millions of people saw us launch a rocket to the moon and land on the moon, and people still think we never went to the moon. So, same
Some
deal.
people still think the Earth is flat, even though we proved categorically last week it is. 71% water, all uncarbonate. Just saying. Next on the list,
This kid.
the
He
Grand
thinks he's
Grimoire.
funny.
The Grand Grimoire is an alleged medieval book. First of all, the Grimoire books themselves are books that are believed to possess immense powers. They tell how to summon evil spirits.
and I'm going to go out on a limb here.
Sure.
I think this actually is down there.
You think it is?
I think it is. Or
And by the way, the
some form of this is down there. I would guarantee it.
I could see why they would hide it. Yes.
Also, I wanted to point out that this, if you haven't checked out our new episode
Was
of
talked about.
Encounters, we
Well,
have
we don't know when it's going to go up.
we have a story coming up about a guy named Mark.
No, I think Mark is all we got. I believe his first name is Mark. That's all I have. You may
House?
have got more.
Right.
Did he? I didn't hear more.
Anyway, we're going to
Anyways,
have a
yeah.
great story on Encounters
Coming up
about
soon.
a guy coming up soon
He talks about his Grimoire and
yeah, exactly.
But the Grand Grimoire is the granddaddy of
The
all those
one.
books. It is the original, supposedly. And why do you believe that the
Well,
Catholic Church is hiding it?
Because I know that stuff like this exists, and I can see why the Catholic Church
Well, I
would
agree.
want
I
to
can
keep
see why they
something like
would.
that.
But
And
there's-
I'm not
there's
even
no
saying
evidence.
And I don't think that they put everything in the archives to hide it. I think they did it to archive it, to store that information. And I think that if they did come in contact with something like that, which I guarantee they did, I think that would be somewhere to put something like that.
A couple of things I'd like to mention. Even if it was there originally, does not by any means mean that it is there today. In the 11th to the 13th centuries, Rome, not just the Vatican, Rome was sacked. Much of it was burned. They lost almost everything that they had. Very little from that time point previous still exists today. In the 1800s, in 1810, Napoleon Bonaparte seized the papal archives and took them all to Paris, France. Approximately 5 years later, they had reached an agreement. He began to send them back. Again, we don't have a good record today of what is there. They certainly didn't in 1810. Most experts say that 30 to 40% of it never made it back or was demolished in the process.
So let me ask you this.
Sure.
You might not know. So I know that Notre Dame has like what they suspect to be the crown of thorns. Was that taken in that?
I've never heard. Very good question. I don't think so, and here's why. Wouldn't they have had to return it if it was known to have been?
So it's
Maybe it was
acknowledged that
returned
they
and
have
given
it.
back.
Right.
But was it theirs to begin with?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't
Not
know
for sure.
that, but I was just curious.
I think if it was absolutely known,
because in the recent burning of Notre Dame, that was one of the things they saved.
Yep. I agree. Good
But
question.
anyways,
Couple of other items that many conspiracy theorists say is hidden in the Vatican. One is the Spear of Destiny, or also known as the Holy Spear, which is alleged to be the lance that pierced the side of Jesus as he hung on the cross during his crucifixion. Some believe that the Vatican has it hidden. Again, I'm not like Steve. I don't see it as trying to remove faith. My point is, if they had it, why wouldn't it be on display? To me, that's an item that you would proudly display somewhere in a prominent place.
so the only reason I would see them not displaying it is just because.
Well, not only not displaying it, but
Well, no, you're right,
hiding
not
it,
just
not even
display it,
admitting
just
you
say-
had it.
But see, I don't know. I'm going to say this, but then I also will. I'm going to go back a little bit. So the only reason because the blood of Jesus, we believe, is so powerful. Like even his spit cured the blind. Like what is his blood going to do?
Someone touched him from behind
So
unknowingly and was healed.
Right. So we believe in that power of the blood. So that spear would have.
You're saying it's almost too strong?
I don't know. But then I'm gonna backtrack. I believe you guys did an episode on this. The Shroud of Turin,
Right.
which is something that also touched Jesus, also has his blood on it. We we display that, and I think that as I was saying what I was going to say, I think I backtracked just thinking of the Shroud of Turin, because the Shroud of Turin kind of discounts what I was going to say. Is like just where it touched his blood, there might be some sort of.
Now they do display, but
they do display the Shroud of Turin, but
what they say may be. The Catholic Church has never said it is the Shroud of Turin.
Right.
But
So
they're willing to display.
Which actually, I just learned this week. I know we had talked about this a little bit last week. Rob Schneider, the comedian, is making a movie on the Shroud of Turin.
Really?
Yeah. I didn't even know he was Catholic, but he's actually, I guess that's one of his big projects he's wanting to do is do a movie on the Shroud of Turin. Anyways.
Steve, what do you got?
I was just going to bring up, you were talking about the Shroud of Turin and his blood. And there was a documentary recently on, I think it was Amazon that I was checking out, where a archaeologist thinks that they have found where his blood was. They were searching for the lost Ark of the Covenant. In the Bible, it says that the blood will lead you to the covenant, or the Ark of the Covenant. So they were assuming that the Ark was near where Christ was crucified. And that they had actually found blood that they had tested that was very old, but very much alive. Did you guys see that at all?
No.
So I'm not seeing that particular thing.
Pretty amazing stuff. And I don't mean
the
cut
blood
you off.
was still alive. Why wasn't that on the front page newspaper of every paper?
Well,
in the world?
I'm gonna say this: that there's Eucharistic miracles where you guys know what the Eucharist is. Yeah.
Sure.
Okay. There's Eucharistic miracles that they
which is the blood and the
right. So it's communion.
right.
So where the host, the bread. So basically, it started bleeding, so it turned into actual like flesh and blood, and when they tested it, like they had secular people like investigate it. They tested it, they looked at it, and they were like, "Where the heck did you get this? Like this is living cells." So it was something very similar to that.
Yeah, and they were obviously, it was kind of like Al Capone's tomb. They didn't find the Ark of the Covenant, obviously, but
and you see what the media like doesn't talk about.
Disproven.
Right. I mean that.
Like what?
Like just it seems like the media focuses on their narrative, and anything that deviates from their narrative, if anything, was remotely proving Christianity
I'm not
to be.
disagreeing with you. I'll give me an example, specific example of what you're talking about. Because I mean, otherwise, it's we're just kind of throwing spears at the wind. So,
but just
let me talk.
I just don't want to make this political. No, I just in particular, I think COVID, but. That's like the first thing that crossed my head.
Yeah, you don't.
I don't want to get into that right now.
I'll kill you with the facts.
I don't want to get into that. I don't think Steve.
Some of his book, Mr. Lindsay, I get.
Again, I don't want to.
Mr. Brett, I don't, because he's one of the smartest, most logical people I know. A few years ago, I remember talking to him. We were having a discussion. Hold on. You'll see why in 1 second. A few years ago, he and I were having a discussion. My daughter texted me. She had some problem. She was in, I don't remember the math class she was in. My daughter got a degree in pure math, and we were having men's night here one night, and I got to talking to Brett, and Brett was like, well, maybe I can help. He said, I am tutoring Calculus 4 at the University of Kentucky. When you are tutoring Calculus 4, you're a very logical, very usually science-driven person. So I won't go any further than to say his beliefs in COVID are extremely non-logical, extremely non-scientific. But yeah, we'll leave it there. One quick thing let me cover, and then I'm done. You guys can jump on.
Yeah, I don't want to get any more into the political thing for sure.
The other thing that we're pretty sure is there, Steve will agree, the Ark of the Covenant. Now, according to the book of Exodus, According to the book of Exodus and the first book of Kings in the Old Testament, the ark contained the tablets of the law, in which God delivered the 10 Commandments to Moses at Mount Sinai. According to Exodus, Numbers, and Hebrews in the New Testament, it also contained Aaron's rod and a pot of manna. And many of the conspiracy theorists, and I'm sure Steve wrote this one as well, believe that the Vatican has it and is buried in the tombs of the Vatican.
I absolutely do not believe that the Vatican has the Ark of the Covenant. I do believe that it's very likely because the entire mission of the Knights of the Templar was to find the Holy Grail. That was one of their primary focuses. Do I believe that the Holy Grail may be in the vaults? Absolutely. The Ark of the Covenant? Absolutely not. I believe that the Ark of the Covenant, as such an artifact of power, could not be contained by, if it were in the Vatican, governments would raid the Vatican to take it because it is a proven, known, from a scholar's point of view, it is a proven and known weapon. If you have the Ark, you shall not be defeated. Period. Every country in the world would be destroying the Vatican to get to the Ark of the Covenant if we knew where it was. Just my opinion. And yeah, you can take that as a conspiracy theory all you want.
I do.
That's fine. But everything that's ever been written about the Ark, everything
Not
leading up
everything.
into most everything.
According to the site you go to, I get it. It's
Nazi
okay,
Germany,
the sites I go to are the Holy Bible. I'm sorry.
really, show me the Bible where it says that it's a weapon.
It doesn't say it's a weapon.
Oh, okay.
What I'm trying to say is that the way it was created, the way it was handled, the effects of the people that handle it improperly all dictate and show that it could very possibly be a weapon. I'm just saying.
Okay, could possibly be. I'll go with that. A minute ago, it was proven.
No. I'm saying it's at the point that
It may be.
it may be
I would go with that.
enough for a government, say a third world country or a country that's developing that wants to, a North Korea, for instance, would try everything in their power if it were in the Vatican.
By
to
the
get
way, I
it from
totally
the
believe
Vatican.
that it's not there, so I'm not arguing with
I
you at
don't
all.
agree.
on
I
that.
think it's not there. At
I
all.
think the Vatican is probably hiding very, very little. When you stop and examine most of these conspiracy theories, they just don't add up. They really don't. There's not reason for them to hide it. In none of these cases is there any proof of any of this. This is just what some people
Well,
have said.
As we said at the very beginning, this is a episode because none of us have been there. It is an episode of speculation, unfortunately.
And even
Yeah,
for the
it's
people
all
that have been there, if this stuff was there, you're not going to see it. They're not going to show this to researchers if they were hiding it.
and like what you were just if you believe the Catholic Church believes the Ark of the Covenant was at least significant in the fact that it held the presence of God, it held the Word of God, like it had power in itself. So if the Catholic Church believes what it teaches, that's not something that they would just advertise. Hey, we have this thing that because and not saying that it's a weapon or anything like that, but just the fact that they have the Ark of the Covenant. It's not a huge government.
Nightshade's not a weapon if it's growing on a field. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It has to be weaponized. And
Because I think Nazi Germany, like they looked for things like these.
Absolutely.
Like and that's not just from Raiders of the Lost Ark. That's like actual fact.
Rommel, Hitler, firmly believes in the occult. Firmly believed in anything that would help. If it had a remote chance to help them in the war effort, they went after it.
When Napoleon was trying to
reckless
capture the
abandon.
entire world and took everything out of the papal archives and sent it to Paris, he would have taken that.
Right. Yeah.
Absolutely.
You're right.
And I mean, most people believe the whole Northern Africa assault by Hitler was about historic religious artifacts that he thought had power.
He was Catholic.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We were talking about the size of the government. You were talking about the Vatican government, correct? We didn't touch on it earlier. Just an interesting fact. Nothing to do with what's hidden. They are an independent country. The entire city is 121 acres. The population as of March 16, 2024 was 764. By far the smallest state in the world by both area and population. Just interesting fact.
Did you want to get into World War II stuff at all?
What Brett's referring to is Pope Pius the Sixth.
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah.
has in
The reason why I
modern
brought that
times-
up was because that was when Mussolini actually made the Vatican its own independent government.
Right.
That's why I was asking if you wanted to get
what
into
he's
that.
referred, not a lot, but I'll briefly mention it. The Pope at the time, Pope Pius VI, we think is Pope Pius, one of them, has in modern days been criticized very strongly because he did not speak out very much at all about the Nazis and the atrocities that they were committing. The Catholic Church themselves has spoken out and said he did not do and say nearly enough. So props to the church for it. It's no one's perfect. No one says Jesus Christ has been perfect. We all have imperfections. At least they're admitting it and saying, the Pope of all people could and should have done more. That's what Brett's referring to. I don't know that it needs to be covered more than that.
Yeah, and I think that what they were hoping for is that something in the archives we're going to say, we're going to shed some light on, hey, did he actually try and
Did he
speak
do
out
more than we
against?
know of?
And really, it seems like it's done the opposite, where he had some deals with Mussolini and said, "Hey, I won't speak out with you or against you as long as you leave the
It was
Vatican
almost
alone."
bought.
What is the old saying? Absolute power corrupts absolutely.
Yep. Very true.
I think
Absolutely true.
That's what it comes down to when it comes to
And that's been
the
proven
church's
in more than one
responsibility
case
in
with popes. When you go back to when was it that they were kicked out of Rome and they went to another country? That was a really bad time for the Catholic Church and the popes as well. Can't remember that, so I won't go into that. Gentlemen, what else do you have to add?
Well, I want to bring it up. We forgot this last week.
Okay.
And so I want to definitely bring it back to this week. Brett, when it comes to hidden mysteries of the Vatican, does it need more or less news coverage?
I think it needs more in the fact of, or in the light of, it seems like the Catholic Church has opened it as much as they should to the public, to where this is not necessarily secret. It's more of, hey, we have all this information. We want to make sure it's handled carefully. We want to archive. We want to inventory what we have. But there's just so much that we need a lot more manpower. Anyways, I think it needs more coverage.
Jerry.
I would ditto to what he said, and for the same reasons that he said. Absolutely agree. I think it's interesting enough, it's historically important enough that I can't say no, it doesn't need more coverage. What they have is incredibly important. It's one of the biggest, not one of, it is the largest historical repositories in the world. And more information is certainly needed. I'll let you go ahead. What do you think? More or less?
I think it needs more for a slightly different reason.
What's that?
I think that humans are on a brink of an age of enlightenment. And I think that if the Smithsonian can display and show what they have, even if when you go to the Smithsonian, you see basically what they have in the vaults, but you may not see exactly what they have in the vaults, meaning you may see a skeleton of a Tyrannosaurus Rex, but you don't see the actual Tyrannosaurus Rex. It's in the vault. Does that make sense?
Sure.
You see a replica.
Right.
I think that humans are getting to a point that more and more and more conspiracy theories are becoming conspiracy facts. And you can shake your head all you want, but it's the truth.
Okay. Name me a couple.
What?
Name
I'll
a
be
couple.
happy to off air. Because,
Okay.
we're about to wrap up.
Okay.
But the bottom line
Ouija
is,
doesn't have any.
that's not true.
Sure. Let's go with that.
Oh, gosh. This guy.
Let's go with that.
Anyway, my point is, I think that it deserves more coverage. And I think that it deserves more coverage because there are a lot of things that it can either address and show. Hey, you said we have, this is what we have, right? So that ends the conspiracy theory. Or
Do you really think it would?
I
Those
think,
guys are still going to say, oh, they've got more hidden. They've shown a bunch. They've got more hidden. I don't think there's no way to end some of these crazy conspiracy.
Well, right,
theories.
and
Yeah, the crazy ones, sure. Everybody's going to have
well, it's like
those
the
fringe
aliens.
people.
Yeah, unless they show the skulls of aliens, a lot of people are going to be like, "Hey, they're still hiding stuff," you know.
Right.
Or they show the Ark of the Covenant. Hey, we have it. That people are still going to believe that it's in the
Right.
Vatican.
I'm not disagreeing with you. We still have three.
That's all I'm
three
saying.
for.
So we all agree here tonight that
Hi, this is Ed Locke with USA Mortgage. When it comes to buying a home, the process can be overwhelming and confusing. With so many options, it can be hard to know where to start. That's why it's important to work with a certified mortgage loan originator. I have the knowledge and expertise to guide you through the process and find the best mortgage option for you. I will work with you every step of the way to ensure that you are getting the best deal possible. So if you're looking to purchase or refinance, please reach out to me at 502-680-0953. So don't take on the stress of buying a home alone. Work with me and I will make your dream a reality. Trust the professionals and make your home buying experience a positive one. MLS ID 448908, DAS Acquisition Company, LLC, doing business as USA Mortgage, MLS ID 227262. This is not a commitment to lend. Additional terms and conditions apply. USA Mortgage is equal housing opportunity.
If you would like to share suggestions for future episodes, an intriguing ghost story, or simply tell us how much you love or hate us, please get in touch with us. You can reach us via email at newsworthywithstephencherry@gmail.com or send us a text at area code 540-709-1318.
Peru.com.
and Jerry, if you can't see the light,
Be the light.